Hi, I'm Evie. Until recently a wealthy heiress, but now an almost internationally wanted criminal. I'm currently hiding out in Zanzibar. I got here because Oliver rescued me from the police and brought me here in a private jet. If you're interested, the story of how it all started is at the link in the description of the video. Honestly, I still find it hard to believe the reality of what happened. Until a month ago, I was living in a luxury estate with nannies and governesses who watches my every move. And my father, a very famous millionaire, was fond of me, but strictly forbade me to go beyond the boundaries of our mansion. I thought he just loved me madly and didn't want to lose me as he lost my mother. But apparently, because of his dark dealings and machinations, my father feared for my safety. And for good reason. Now he's under investigation. All of our accounts are frozen. The house is sealed, and the CIA is looking for me. And if it wasn't for Oliver, I don't know where I'd be right now. Oliver Sticks is a guy I met by chance a few weeks ago. He saved me from loneliness by sneaking onto the terrace at night. Yes, he's a genius programmer who can handle any security system in seconds. And he has a lot of money, because a few years ago, the program developed by Oliver was bought out by the CIA for a lot of money. Everything is highly classified, but in the end, Oliver is secured with money for the rest of his life. And coincidentally, he turned out to be my neighbor and then my savior. It's been a week since we've been in Zanzibar. Oliver had rented one of the tiny islands to make me feel safe. Already here, I learned from the news that a high-profile criminal case has been opened against my father. Tax evasion on a large scale, fraudulent bank accounts, and another question that worried everyone. Where is his only daughter, Evie? The press didn't have any photos of me, so a photographic portrait was made from the description of the maid and the delivery man who had once mistakenly called at our gate. And that's how I met Oliver. He and I have become very close during this time. I feel very comfortable with him. And Oliver sometimes jokes that he actually saved the princess by freeing her from the tower. That's what he said when he first knocked on my window. Even though he's only 16, Oliver thinks like an adult. He doesn't get along with his parents. They tried to get their hands on the money he got from the CIA for the program, but the lawyers sorted it all out. Only sometimes Oliver feels very lonely. That's probably why we got together with him. Two lonely souls. One evening, I took a walk along the shore and walked silently into the house, frozen on the threshold. The first time I heard Oliver cursing, I peeked through the doorway. He was nervously pacing the room and shouting into the phone.
This wasn't the deal. She's not going to be a bargaining chip in this. She doesn't deserve it.
I don't deserve what? I asked in a trembling voice. Oliver passed out and slumped tiredly on the couch, wrapping his arms around his head. And with the words,
I hope you forgive me,
Oliver told a story that gave me the creeps. It turned out that the CIA knew where I was, and Oliver had brought me here with their permission. He still has connections in the CIA, because a couple of years ago, he sold his app to them to find high-risk criminals. Oliver managed to negotiate my release on the condition that I lay low while the investigation continues. So you're babysitting me. That's why you don't let me out of your sight. I couldn't take it anymore. How are you better than my father? So I'm a puppet again. Oliver jumped up and hugged me, screaming that I wasn't a puppet, and that he really cared about me. Suddenly, a loud rumble outside distracted our attention. Oliver looked out the window and gasped. A small helicopter had landed on the sand outside the house. Is that the CIA? To get me? Oliver stood bewildered. There was a gentle knock on the door. There was no way out, so we opened it, and there was a woman standing on the threshold. Her tanned skin and tall boots made it clear she was no tourist. Hello, daughter. The woman smiled and took a step toward me. If it were snowing in Zanzibar right now, I'd be less surprised. Mom? I didn't even remember what she looked like. Your picture was all over the news. I'm so sorry about Bill. I mean that Dad caught up in this horrible story. But we must hurry now. The helicopter is waiting. How did you find me? Through Oliver. I was one step away from being hysterical, but my mom grabbed my hand and whispered, "The CIA will be here soon. We have to leave. Now." Oliver gently touched my elbow and nodded. It was a good idea. He put his arms around me and whispered in my ear, "I'll find you." And now I was running away again. My mind is a mess. Oliver, traitor or savior? Mom found me through him, and now she's sitting next to me in the helicopter, hugging me tight. "Calm down, sweetheart. Have some tea, and we'll talk. It's not a long flight." I drained the glass in a gulp. I looked out the window. Suddenly, my legs were leaden. Everything began to blur before my eyes. "What did you give me to drink?" I could barely say, and I blacked out. What happened next is in the next story. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next story. I'm Dory, and you won't believe my story. I live in a small house in an area of Florida. After school, I often stay home for long evenings by myself. My parents come home pretty late. But I like being alone so much. No one controls me. I watch as many of my favorite bloggers as I want and do my homework at the same time. Or put hard rock music on full blast. In a word, having fun. Once I got home, I grabbed a bite to eat and decided to take a little break. It was quiet. The birds were chirping outside. Someone was mowing the lawn. All of a sudden, bam! I heard a noise from above. Then again, bam! I sat up. What was that? I felt uncomfortable. I heard a strange sound. It sounded like something was being pulled across the floor. Slowly. Was being pulled. And right above my head. I couldn't say I was a coward, but at that moment, a cold sweat ran down my spine. What to do? We had an attic in our house. There we kept boxes of unnecessary things. My toys, skis, and I knew that the sounds come from there. But I won't go up there myself. I'm scared. Looking at the clock, I realized my parents would be home in a few hours. So I called Kira, my friend who lived nearby. 10 minutes later, she was standing on the doorstep of my house and smiled enigmatically. "What's up with you? You sounded so scared on the phone." "There's something in the attic, Kira. I'm scared." Kira laughed. "Have you been watching too many horror movies lately, Dory? Stop it." I was offended, but I nodded my head toward the stairs. "Come on, if I made it up, okay. You can tell everyone later that I'm a cowardly fantasist." Kira nodded back, and we started up the stairs to the attic. And again, bam! We both froze. Kira shook her head negatively, ran down the stairs, and I heard the front door slam loudly. And she calls herself a friend. I sat down on the stairs. Everything was quiet in the attic. The lights on the streets were on. It was getting dark. I was beginning to doubt myself. Maybe I was imagining things. And I made up my mind. I quickly climbed the stairs and sharply opened the door to the attic. It creaked loudly and darkness enveloped me. I stood still while my eyes were getting used to the darkness. My heart was jumping out of my chest. My hands were sticky with sweat. A rustle. I heard it again. My knees trembled with fear, but I was determined to carry on to the end. "Hey you! Come out! I'm not afraid of you!" My voice was shaking, and inside I kept repeating to myself, "Don't be afraid, there can't be anyone here." I turned on the flashlight with a trembling hand. Shadows danced on the walls, which made it even more frightening. Suddenly, on the far wall, I saw a figure. Something horrible, prickly, with big, long ears and eyes. Eyes sparkling with some strange blue light. My hand with the flashlight shook, and so did the monster in front of me. I took a step backward, stepped on something soft. I heard a loud squeak. "Mommy! Help me!" I almost flew out of the attic, stumbled and tumbled down the stairs. But by some miracle, I caught the railing and smashed my teeth against it and stopped. There was a terrible noise in my head. My teeth hurt. Something hot was on my lips. I opened my eyes, and immediately in front of my nose, I saw my mom. She was standing at the bottom of the stairs with her mouth open, looking at me. She was holding grocery bags from the store. What happened? I went to the attic. There was a noise. Mom, there was something. But then I sobbed and couldn't speak anymore. I was in so much pain. An hour later, I was taken to the hospital. I had numerous bruises, a broken arm, and knocked out 2 of my front teeth. But that's nothing. The problem is that now I'm afraid to stay home alone. As it turned out, I was afraid of the huge toy bear, which my parents hid in the attic from me. It was supposed to be a gift for the successful completion of the school year. But what were the loud noises I heard in the attic? We never found out. And now I'm afraid to stay home. And I do not know what to do. Have you ever experienced such a thing? Right. How can I overcome these fears? I wonder if you've ever had one. I'm looking forward to your stories.